here we go. So tonight's question and answer. And I remember once I was in a question and answer and I asked Stephen Brown a really good question. I asked, Stephen, can you talk about if we're trying to be mindful, but also we're trying to have no mind, how does that work? And he said, that's a good question. That's how I knew it was a good question. And I felt really amazing about myself for like a year. You don't have to get it, you don't have to nail it like that. And some of you guys have asked me better questions than that. But like, you should think about this. I know I have a question over here about this is my experience in meditation and this is what I'm having a hard time with. How do I deal with that? So start with that. And it could be with meditation, it could be with, a relationship, it could be with whatever. I'll give you guys my best option for today. Can you grab me that book, man? Perfect. So I have one question that was already submitted in an email today from one of our students who usually comes to meditation, but she's traveling right now. Thank you, ma'am. So she was reading Zen and the Martial Arts, which is a great book. If you haven't read it yet, you should. Shame on you. And she's asking me about a quote here by Chuang Tzu. I love quoting Chuang Tzu. So he says, flow with whatever may happen and let your mind be free. Stay centered by accepting whatever you are doing. This is the ultimate. And she asked me more details about this, and I forgot what the rest of the question was, so I'm just going to talk about it. This question is essentially about flow and acceptance. So, and he says that, flow, whatever may happen, and let your mind be free, stay centered by accepting whatever you're doing. This is the ultimate. So, flow comes from acceptance. Let me take this from you. If you are not accepting whatever it is, let's say that you're grappling with somebody, and they're trying to do a technique to you, and it's working, and you're not accepting that it's working, and you're not accepting that this person is better than you, then you get into this state of anxiety, physical and mental anxiety and tension. So you tense up. You cannot flow with tension. It's impossible to flow with tension. So first you have to accept, and then that allows you to flow. That frees you up. And so we practice this on a physical level. We try to practice it on a physical level, or at least I yell at you enough about it that you should remember this when we're practicing in the dojo. But we want to be able to take that out into the rest of life. So I'm having an experience. I'm in a situation where I'm running up against something, and it could be a relationship with a person, it could be a situation at work or whatever. I'm running up against this thing that I'm attached to some kind of outcome. I'm not getting it, and I'm not accepting that. And that is then going to lead to this experience of just bumping into and just banging your head up against the wall over and over again. But if we find ourselves having an experience, we find ourselves in a situation and then we accept it, that doesn't mean that you have to let somebody walk all over you. It doesn't mean that you have to accept it, meaning like I just let whatever happen happen. It means that I have to start with acceptance. I have to be, in real life, connected to reality and recognize this is happening. I have to accept that. And then from there I can move with it. And moving might mean that I shift gears and I follow whatever that person is doing. This is I'm at work and they keep telling me to do this and telling me to do this, and I don't like it, I don't accept it, or it seems really stressful and it seems like you're stuck, you get tense. But instead, if you can accept that this is happening, then you can kind of pivot around and find a way to work with it. So this is something that you should be able to do in any situation in life. There are plenty of opportunities to practice getting stuck and then accepting that gets you unstuck, and then that allows you to flow. So somebody else is asking me, I'm going to try to paraphrase this. You can nod if I got it right, or do this if I got it wrong. But I'm trying to meditate on my own for kind of the first time, And I had some pretty good success in the dojo when I'm sitting with all the people and it's nice and quiet and everyone else is meditating and I just listen to this incredibly inspirational talk right beforehand. And now I can sit and meditate, but when I go home and I try to do it, it doesn't happen that way. It is difficult on a few different levels. In my experience and the experience of the students that I've talked to, just getting yourself to sit down in the first place is tough. Just committing to actually doing it. Then when you actually get yourself to sit there, your mind's racing. It's probably like I've gone from going 100 miles an hour to I'm trying to just sit still and breathe and relax. And it's essentially like you ran your car at 100 miles an hour into the wall, and it feels like that. It's very jolting. It's not a very relaxing experience because you're taking all of that thought and all of that energy and stopping and expecting it to go well. It's not going to. And then, maybe my environment isn't conducive to meditation. So maybe I'm unable to get to a quiet, peaceful place or whatever it is. All of these things are fairly simple to deal with. Doesn't mean that simple means easy, right? So at first you just got to get in the habit of doing it. I mean, you meditate literally every single day. I don't care if it's 1 minute a day, you do it. You got to start with something. And it doesn't have to be like I'm meditating, like I'm getting to my highest self and I'm enlightened in this moment. It could just be literally I sit. That's it. I sit every single day for a minute. And then I try to manage my environment to the best of my ability, but that is less important. You want to be able to sit anywhere. And then when you get the consistency of your sitting all the time, then you're going to start to get a little bit longer with your meditation. And that's just a matter of I sit, and when something starts to hurt, I get an itch, or I think of something, I really need to get that done, I don't let myself move. I just sit. And my mind wanders to something else, and I just bring it back to the breath. And I feel some kind of an ache or an itch, and I just let that go. And I might even start by just accepting it. This is what my body's doing right now, great. Instead of me fighting against it and getting angry and getting tense, I just allow it to happen. Okay, that hurts right now, that's nice, and just let it go. That's it. And then your meditation is going to get longer as long as you can just sit with it. The problem people have in the beginning is I think we expect too much from our practice early on. You're not going to get what you want from meditation the first couple of times. You're going to get what you get. And on some level, it's what you deserve, and on some level, it's what you're ready for. So maybe all I can get is I sit still. Wonderful. If that's what you're getting today, that's what you're getting today. Accept it, flow with it, move on. Maybe the next day, I sat still for 2 minutes instead of 1 minute. Beautiful. Maybe the next day, I sat and I actually remembered to think about my breath. Beautiful. Like whatever we get is what we get. It's perfect. So meditation is a great tool for helping us deal with our expectations, which are often not in alignment with reality. We accept something, or we expect something to happen. It's not what's happening. And so we have to accept that, connect back in with what's real, and then just deal with that the best way we can. Other question? Yes, ma'am?
This is similar to your question to see the ground, but I mentioned it before. There are 3 states: the consciousness, subconsciousness, and super consciousness, which is like your higher self. How do you not let your negative aspects of your subconsciousness derail you or sabotage you because they're so deeply rooted and you can't see them? In a perfect state, your higher self can take over, but sometimes your higher self is taking a nap.
Yes, very often the higher self is taking that. So the question is, I'll rephrase for people who can't hear. We've got 3 basic states of consciousness. You can think of it this way. I've got the lowest level is my subconscious. Then I have my kind of everyday waking, moving around, dealing with life consciousness. And then I've got my super consciousness, or like my highest self. And this is a perfectly reasonable way to think of what's going on inside your skull. So we have subconscious could mean a lot of different things to different people, and I'm sure if you're a trained psychologist or psychiatrist, just just bear with me with the way that I'm describing this, but you have an experience that's like this. I've got my habits, I've got my tapes that run in my head kind of automatically without me choosing to have these thoughts. It's like something happens and it triggers this series of thoughts that is happening without my consent, and it happens all the time. And so those things can start to mess with us when we're in our everyday consciousness, our waking consciousness, and it can start to mess with our highest self. It's less difficult again, or it's less difficult to deal with this if you are connected with your higher self. But the truth of the matter is, oftentimes when we're connected with our higher self, it happens for about this long, and then something drags us back out of it. And it could be something that's happening in our lives. It could be something that's just happening within our head, and we're remembering something. But the answer that I'm going to give you is very basic. How do I stop those, those lower thoughts, those habitual thoughts, those tapes, those negative tapes that keep playing? How do I stop those from happening? And it's about doing the work. So when you are meditating, for example, this is not really the time to do the work of affirmations or do the work of trying to reprogram your mind, because you're trying to just be in the moment and flow with your consciousness connected to your breath, right? It's more like a thing that you're going to do when you have some time set aside where what I'm going to do is I recognize this thought keeps coming up in my head, and I'm going to try to reprogram that, where maybe the first moment that I have that thought, I keep having this thought that goes something like, I'm not good enough, and then it turns into me thinking all the reasons why I'm not good enough, and remembering all of the experiences that I had that day that prove why I'm not good enough. And instead of going down into all of that, I just recognize the first time that I have that thought, or the first time that I can kind of give myself a break from it, I realize I'm going down this rabbit hole of negative thought, and what I need to do is replace this with something else. So I can talk about it. The way to deal with a habit is oftentimes to just replace the thing that you're doing with something else. So I have this thought, I'm going to replace it with something else. Just like in meditation, when I have a thought, I replace it with the breath, I let it go, and I just come back to the breath. That might be what you're working on. It might just be like, I have this thought all the time of I'm not good enough. Wouldn't it be nice if I changed that into, something that empowers me, something that makes me feel stronger in that moment? And if you take I'm not good enough and you just say I am good enough, that's a little bit cheesy and it doesn't work for most people. You just think, am I really though? So you want to change it to something that's kind of like, let's see, how would I describe this? It's like I'm not good enough goes this way, and I am good enough just fights against it. This is like non-acceptance. But if you go, I'm not good enough to something that's kind of tangentially related, something that goes like, I am an unstoppable force of, whatever works for you. I am like all of the power of the universe. Something that takes this motion and turns it into this. It's like I get a little bit of momentum as I go down. So some people call this the J curve, and it's like I'm going down this way, and instead of fighting against it or stopping, I actually go whoosh, and now I end up in a better place than I was even before I had that initial thought. So we want to try to take some time outside of meditation and just really consciously work on this. Now, meditation aids in this because it makes me more aware of my thoughts. It allows me to recognize things much earlier rather than I just spent 20 minutes thinking this. I recognize it after the first 20 seconds, and then I can replace it with whatever I want to replace it with. So it's kind of a cop-out answer. You need to just work on those thoughts and try to reprogram them. And then it's not going to mess with you as as much because it's just going to last this long and you have been reprogrammed. I would say if you can get to a place where you are really connected with your higher self, those things aren't going to creep in as often. You'll notice this when you're really in a great place with your meditation, you're not having those thoughts. And when you're in a great place with life and you're connected to something that's bigger than you, that you're really passionate about, something that's important to you, it's helping other people or whatever it is, then you're not having those thoughts because you are kind of surrounding yourself with the input that is kind of keeping you rolling in that right direction. So you'll notice that these negative thoughts happen more when I'm not connected with and I'm not doing the things that connect me with my higher self. So I'm doing something that's a lower self activity, whatever it is. I'm surrounding myself with people who kind of make me think this way. And that is a tough thing to deal with. So that's a whole other talk about external environment versus internal environment. But take that and run with it and see how it goes. Other question, have we got anything? Just keep staring at the phone for no reason. Yes, ma'am, Meryl.
Can martial arts help with people that have severe mental illness?
You asked me about this before?
I don't think so. No, I asked you about like mild mental illness.
Oh, mild?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like depression.
Here.
No, but like schizophrenia and things like that.
I'm not a trained, as I said before, and I'll say again for the second time, psychologist or I'm not a trained mental health professional. I have certainly seen people practice. I wouldn't go so far as to say that I know anybody personally who has dealt with something as serious and debilitating as schizophrenia and been able to just completely resolve it and deal with it through meditation or martial arts. And I would even say that some people have the experience of, I have severe anxiety. When I sit to meditate, it makes it worse because I keep having these thoughts and I'm unable to break free of them. And so there are even situations where if you're not doing it in the right way, martial arts, meditation, or anything else that you do, might be kind of reinforcing these things or sending you down into these states. So I believe that if you do it the right way, and if you're in a wonderful environment like this one, you're surrounded with people who have your best interest at heart, and they're really trying to bring you up, that is a spectacular way and one of the best things that you can do for yourself. I believe that we have a tendency to over-medicate in this society with certain things you should take medication for. It's like, if I have an actual chemical imbalance, it's some medication that I can take will help me come back to just balancing that out. Great, I should do it. And maybe, certainly physical exercise can help with a lot of things. Depression, for example. If you just get out and move, and martial arts is a great way of exercising, for sure. It can have a lot of great effect on that. But I'd be overstepping, I think, a little bit to say, bring all your friends with schizophrenia to the dojo and cure them all. I think that the way that we are able to connect with reality, be in the moment, and use physical movement and the breath to be in reality is very helpful. It is something that, if nothing else, might start pushing us in the right direction. Something that helps us to, get hold of whatever way we need it. And there are some people who are dealing with something that's so severe that it's not appropriate to come in and learn how to punch and kick and choke people out. Because they're going to go right out of class and do those things to somebody, and so I'm not going to teach them that. But sitting and breathing, that's cool for most people. I mean, there are very few things that you deal with where you shouldn't just try to go back to the breath. So, I don't have a great answer for you. The things that I just said are about as good as you're going to get from me tonight. I've seen people deal with really incredible difficulties mentally, physically, emotionally, and martial arts really helps them with that. And I've experienced students who come in and they're dealing with something, and it's so severe that after the first couple of classes and the first couple of weeks, we both recognize that this isn't really the thing that's going to help, and you need to kind of see something that's outside of this. So, being realistic with your expectations and your acceptance of where you're at is a very important first step, I would say. Other question? Sir?
So recently, over the past few months, I've found with the more that I meditate, the more that I prefer being a bit more like solitary, and how good that feels, and having actually like less overall stimulation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good thing, but the downside is that people that I used to spend a lot of time with, and they'll say like, oh, do you want to do all these things? And, we used to have fun doing it, but I'll be like, I don't want to do it anymore because it's like that's not my interest.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll explain to them like, oh yeah, well, this is what's going on. This is why I'm good. But they have a hard time, like accepting that. And I'll tell them like, come with me to this thing, like come meditate, and
I think I understand the whole thing, because I've experienced this and a lot of people have the same experience. And it could be, so the question in a nutshell is, I've got people in my life who, now that I'm kind of growing in this direction, whether I think of it as I'm growing and I'm getting better than these people, or I just think of it as like we're growing apart, and whatever way we're growing apart, these people are now starting to resent what I'm doing and where I'm at, because I'm no longer interested in doing the same things that we were doing. And maybe on some level, I'm not interested in even spending time with the same people that I was spending time with. I'm not going to put those words in your head, in your mouth. But this is something that a lot of people also experience. So this is first of all a natural thing that happens in life. And I know in all of the many years that you've had on this planet, you may or may not have experienced this yet, but you will. There are going to be just times when people grow apart. And that's okay. If we think that we have to stay with the same group of friends, and we have to have the same types of interests and spend the same amount of time with the same people forever, you will get stuck. And nobody can go and grow in their own way. So you have to be willing to, let people go. You have to be willing to grow and do your thing. And other people have to be willing to let you do that too. And if somebody, I'll tell you something that is invaluable in this situation is to recognize that if somebody is resenting you for this, or they might be resenting the dojo, they might be resenting your meditation practice or whatever, something that you know is good for you, but they don't get it. They're resenting you for this. It is just often because they miss you. They wish that they could spend time with you. And also, on some level, they feel like, oh, should I be doing that too? Should I be allowing myself to grow? And this, I'll tell you, if you want to get into an argument with somebody, a serious argument, tell them what you think that they should be doing with their lives, and they will come up with all the reasons why you're wrong and you are a terrible person. So it doesn't work that way to just say, I'm doing this and you should too because this is where I'm at now. So be aware of that. Make sure that you never have a conversation from that place. Just kind of recognize that this person is having this experience because they care about me and they miss me, and they also feel that same thing that all human beings do when we are put face to face with something that opposes what we have become comfortable with and what we understand as truth and reality. That's a very uncomfortable situation. It feels like you're being physically attacked. There's some part of your brain that doesn't understand the difference between an intellectual or emotional, mostly intellectual, like an understanding that's being challenged, and my physical self is being challenged. It sees them both as an existential threat. This is something that is actually dangerous for my survival. This is is your ego. So that's what they're going through. It's rough. It's really rough. There's nobody who handles that brilliantly. We try to do our best, but even still, when you are put in that position, you feel threatened. It really takes something to deal with that in a smooth way, from a place of acceptance. So you do the best that you can, and again, you don't feel the need to continue doing the same things that you always have. It's a rough thing to accept, but you might even not spend time with the same people you used to spend time with. And if you're going to, it's going to be because they accept you and you accept them. And maybe they don't even grow in the same way that you are, but you can still accept each other for the way that you are and the way that you aren't. This book that I was reading that one of the students gave me talks about friendship as like literally just the act of what is the word when you're just bearing witness? Just say that, bearing witness. You're basically just there, giving that person space to be who they are. And I've had this experience several times where I'm now a completely different person by far than I was 10, 15, 20 years ago. Not recognizable. And most of my friends from back then are also not recognizable in different ways. And I recognize that when I accept them for exactly who they are, first of all, that breeds acceptance back on me, right? If I'm not trying to turn that person to pound them into how I need them to be or how I wish they were, then they're kind of okay with me being the way that I am. And that's nice. But also, you find there's something to learn from everybody. So, while it is surely a hard pill to swallow, like maybe I'm not supposed to be friends with this person anymore, and you'll know when that's the case, because this person is actively dragging you down into a place where you choose not to be anymore, okay, that's it. But it's somebody who's just on their own path, they're doing their own thing. And we might not fully understand it, but if we can accept it, then we can keep that relationship and we can learn something from them, and they can learn something from us too. So this again just comes back to acceptance and flow, right? We accept whatever the situation is, we flow with it. I'm way over time already, but I'll just bring this back to what I talked about on Monday. This is the first time that I've ever gone surfing this last weekend. And surfing, if you've got the waves coming down on you and you don't accept that and you try to fight against the wave, there's no fighting in surfing. You are just going to get drowned. And I had that a couple of times where I was fighting against the water and I just got sucked right down underneath the waves, and that's scary. But if you accept it and you can actually be relaxed enough to flow with it, then you're good. And that's something that I've learned from martial arts, and it's something that made me a lot better at surfing for my first time than I should have been. And I noticed that the times where I was doing the best was when I was really just feeling what was happening, and I wasn't trying to turn it into anything else. I was just going right with the motion of that wave in that moment. It was different from the wave before it, different from the wave after it, and different from what I expected or what I was attached to, how it was going to be. So we want to practice that in the dojo as much as possible, on a physical level and an emotional level. And I know we got other questions, you're going to have to ask them later on because we're way out of time. Sit, come.